So we talk a lot today about big data, data analytics, data mining. But when you look at telephony, do you really do that? Is it really providing insightful data to your business? Because what happens, and we've seen this historically, all of the traditional PBX technologies trap a lot of data. How many calls you made, the length of call, and you report on that often and look at agents, how long they were on the phone, how many calls they made, and these sort of performance. But it's not related to true customer data. So is it really meaningful? What if you can link that data live to real customer data? So instead of saying John did 25 hours on on phone calls last week in connect time, or Sue yesterday did 43 calls, is it more interesting to be able to see who they called, how many of them were gold customers, how many were the new customers, how much time did they spend last week of the 25 hours talking to high value prospects as opposed to the small ones? That gives you much more insight, particularly as a sales leader or for customer service. How much time are you spending servicing customers with low spend? 80% of your call time last week was spent serving low spend customers, and there were 12 calls to low spend customers by this agent, which were an hour long. Well, what were they for? Is that something we can better serve through the use of video material, through self-serve? Should we be charging them? But what happens today is there's silos of information. You have all your telephony data, you have your customer data, and you don't relate them together. Or if you try to, you would have found it's extremely hard. What we do with our technology is put that together out of the box, so that you've not just got that in-depth telephony data, but it immediately correlates to real customer, individual people, B2C, and businesses and B2B, so you can make real, meaningful business decisions. And the agents and the salespeople and the customer service agents can really see what they're spending their time on and make better decisions of how to impact and positively both the customer and the business. So by having that insight into the true metrics of what calls are going on, who to, how long for, how often, business leaders can make better decisions of advising and coaching teams. So for example, a prime example would be sales. If, as a sales leader, you have a sales team and you find a sales individual who is spending 80% of their time on phone calls with low value deals, perhaps they're under £3,000, where your real target is £50,000 and above, but the £50,000 deals they only spent 12 minutes speaking to in the last 3 weeks, that's an easy decision. If you've got a dashboard showing you that, to question. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you now at least know that information to make business decisions. And the same for those individuals. Now, if you relate it to service agents and in the service part of the business, if you don't know where you're spending your time, you just know there's lots of activity going on and calls, and we're closing calls on this ratio, but you don't know which customers, how do you know which customers are profitable for you? Should you be introducing a charge for support or a high premium line? How much is it truly costing your business? And these are the differentials that make successful businesses successful and other businesses average or poor. So often customers look at technology to improve this sort of stuff, whether it be getting insight and data to make better business decisions or to improve efficiency, as it's hard to justify because it is an intangible, it's not a directly correlated cost. What we do is use examples of other customers and the outcomes they've had genuinely. So we've got many examples where customers have reported 80% agent productivity increase, savings of £300,000–400,000 a year because of the time increase and not having to recruit 10 more people to handle the increase in business and calls, because they're doing it more effectively and they're also spending their time on the right calls at the right time. So there's absolutely a correlated impact, but it's different for every business. But what we work with them to do is understand and ask those questions and tease out of them what those metrics are, what's your average deal value, what's your average call time, to help them create that ROI.